Recording now. All right. Today is Wednesday, December 13, 2022, and this is my little Bible study with our normal Wednesday night edition. I think I got the date and everything right. No?
No, not the year.
What did I say, 2023?
Yeah, I believe.
You said 22.
I did? See, I never get it right. I've screwed the date up more times. I don't know where I'm at. All right, let's try it again. Today is Wednesday, December 13, 2023. I got it right. See, I've accomplished things already tonight. And everybody's just always in a bad mood. And this is my little Bible study, and we're continuing with our line by line, verse by verse study of the book of Revelation. We have made it all the way, every word, to chapter 12 tonight. All right. So let's talk about what chapter 13 was really about. Last week, if you want to catch it, we talked a lot about the two witnesses. All right? We went to Malachi. And if you remember, Malachi is only 4 chapters in Malachi, and we went to the last chapter of the Old Testament. All right? And the last chapter of the Old Testament that lays out very clearly that it's both Moses and Elijah that are promised to come back, not just Elijah. That's why you find that's why you find on the Mount of Transfiguration with Jesus, and with Jesus you got Moses and Elijah, of course, hanging out. All right. So that was basically last week. And if you want a little more on that, that's just watch last week's lecture. All right. That brings us to chapter 12. Now, chapter 12 is interesting in the fact that part of it has happened way in the ancient past, in the first heaven and earth age, actually. And we're going to talk about it as we go. And chapter 13, though, is showing that happens in this heaven and earth age as it unfolds. All right, Revelation chapter 12, and let's just get with it and see where it leads. All right, Father, we ask this, reach people with open eyes and open ears in Jesus' name, amen. Chapter 12, right. Verse 1. We go line by line, verse by verse through the whole book. All right, chapter 12, verse 1 reads, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven." All right, now that's the first thing you got to get is that we're not on earth. All right, John is in the spirit and he's being shown something in heaven. Now, one of the ways I like to kind of communicate this is he's just been shown a spiritual video. Let's look at it. He's here in heaven. He's being shown something that's occurred. All right. And what is it that he sees? He sees a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. All right, now, people get a lot of strange ideas that this is the church and things like this. This is Israel, all right, is what we're talking about. All right, and it's kind of made clear in the next statement. "And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered." All right, and who's the one that comes forth through Christ, or through Israel? Was the Messiah himself, right? All right, now who are the 12 stars then? She's got a crown of 12 stars. Israel is comprised of 12 patriarchs, 12 different tribes. All right, 1 star for each of the patriarchs. All right, but she, being with child, travailed in birth and pain to be delivered. All right, now listen, "And there appeared another wonder in heaven." So this is separate from the woman. "A great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head." Now, this takes you all the way back to our first lecture that we had. All right, the first one was one where we named all the symbols. Okay, now whether it is in heaven, in the first heaven and earth age, or on earth in this heaven and earth age, the symbol's the same. All right, and we'll get to that, and we'll go over it again when we hit chapter 13, but let it ride for now. All right, now in the first heaven and earth age, something happened, and his tail drew 1/3 of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. Now, that happened in the first heaven and earth age, right? Now listen to this same dragon, though, here now. "And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born." Right? "And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne," exactly as it was in the New Testament. Right? And the woman fled into the wilderness where she had the place prepared of God, and that she should flee, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. Well, that goes back to Daniel, the way Daniel's measuring, right? And the 7 years that Daniel actually has. All right, so we moved out of the 5 months, which is what the whole thing is now. That's what it was shortened to. But for the period of prophecy, it's going back to Daniel's 42 months or 1,260 days. All right? Now, listen to what it says. And there was war in heaven, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. All right? And the great dragon was cast out. This is that great red dragon. Go back to our symbols. The dragon is Lucifer, right? Was cast out. Get plenty of his names right here. That old serpent, same serpent that was in the Garden of Eden, all right, called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels was cast out with them. All right, now that's going to happen again in our future. Now, let me ask you a question. This explains why, like in Job, you find Lucifer walking around the earth. Remember when God summons Lucifer and they're talking about Job, he asked him where he's been. He said, I've been going to and fro in the earth. Right? But in the New Testament, if you remember when Christ is tempted in the wilderness, the last thing that he tells the devil is to get thee behind me. All right? So Christ is in heaven right now, so where's Lucifer? Right there being held by Michael in the throne room, which is exactly where you find him arguing. If you remember last week, he was arguing about where the bones of Moses actually at, because he can't figure it out. All right, and that's why, because Moses never died. There isn't a burial place. I know it does say, the Bible does say that Moses was buried in a valley. Other translations, a crag in the hill somewhere. But nobody knows because nobody was there to see it except for God, because God was the one that supposedly buried him. He was not buried by man. But nonetheless, Lucifer's still trying to figure it out because he's arguing with Michael about it in the book of Jude. Why does he want Moses' bones? I would say probably to pull off some kind of a weird miracle in the last days is most likely. That's what I think, but that's just my opinion, all right? But nonetheless, verse 10, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. All right, so if you realize if you mess up, that's what his two's reminding God that you screwed it up. All right, that's what he's saying. He stands there in the throne and he's his accuser. And he's like, you forgive him, well, look what this idiot just did. You forgave her, but look what this idiot just did. All right, he's the accuser of the brethren. Verse 11, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb. All right, that's what overcomes him. Remember last week when Lucifer was arguing with Michael about these bones for Moses, what did Michael do? Did Michael say, shut up or I'm going to slap you down? No, he said, the Lord rebuke thee. All right, and they overcome all this adversity of the last days with the same blood covenant that we do sin, right? And by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. They rejoice, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. And woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. See, because he understands Revelation chapter 9. Is somebody coming in? Nope. He understands Revelation chapter 9. He knows from the time that he's cast out that he's only got 5 months to live. Well, in a spiritual day after that. To live. After all this time, after millennia, his end is so close and he knows it. That's why he's so angry when he hits the earth this time. All right? He wants to take everybody that he can with him. Verse 13, and when the dragon saw that he was cast out into the earth, he persecuted the woman, who is Israel. All right? Every place that he can know her. Now, we spend a lot of time talking about Israel. Israel's 12 tribes. Now, everybody wants to say, when you look in the Middle East, there's Israel. That's just a name. The name of the people that are in Israel are called Jews. All right? If you are a Jew, that means you track your flesh lineage, your mama and your daddy, all the way back, umbilical cord to umbilical cord, to the patriarch Judah, okay, who was one of 12 brothers. Now, you can't stick Jews and call them all the 12 tribes, because it's by their own name only means one tribe. Okay? So there are 11 other tribes that are out here in the world wandering around, they don't know who they are, but God hadn't lost one of them. All right? It becomes very important when you understand that within the context of the book of Deuteronomy chapter 4. Verse 14, and to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that means she might fly into the wilderness, and to her place, where she is nourished a time and a half time from the face of the serpent. Doesn't know where he is. Think about every time that a tribe gets located, every time Judah has a home. Look what just happened to them. On the 7th day, were just massacred, over 1,000 of them, for no other reason than just standing there and being Jewish. All right, so every time you get somebody at one of the tribes out in the open, something bad's going to happen. Why? Because the devil himself is the one that persecutes those tribes. He's still mad because the Messiah came out of them. All right? And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood. Now, after the woman. Now, this flood, remember, the days of Noah says God will never destroy the world by flood, right? So the flood that comes out of his mouth, we'll clarify later, but it's just a flood of lies. Everything that he's saying, it's just a flood of lies. Everything he says is a lie. All right? And he lies and chases the woman that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. But listen to what it says. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon did cast out of his mouth. All right? So who helps the woman? The earth. Where are those tribes? I don't know, they've been lost in time. Anything's going on right now. Okay? So they're all doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, exactly where they're supposed to be. Right? And the dragon was wroth with the woman, Israel, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which is us. What do? Which keep the commandments of God. All right? And have the testimony of Jesus Christ. What did it say in chapter 7 where it was talking about all these tribes again? It says that's exactly the same thing. All of those that were sealed have the testimony of Christ. They're all Christian. All right, now that's chapter 12. Most of this has already occurred, except for just a brief portion of it, right? Now when we go to chapter 13, this is a closer look at those events that John was shown in heaven, like this big spiritual movie. All right? Now these are these events unfolding on the earth. The same thing, the same dragon, but this time we're going to go through and just name the symbols again as we name them, because these are the ones, this is that big monster that everybody's worried about. All right, both of them actually in chapter 13. Listen to what it says. And I, meaning John, stood upon the sands of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Okay. Lecture 1, when we first started this book, everybody made a list of symbols, right? The sea was people, all right? The beast, the actual beast part that controls it, was no more than the dragon, Lucifer, all right? The 7 heads, their heads were nations. These are all symbols that we could identify and name within the Bible, and most of them just within the book of Revelation, right? All right, the horns, power. Crowns, authority, and upon the heads the names of blasphemy. Why is it blasphemy? Because everything to do with this beast and who controls it is setting up the Antichrist reign, who does it's the one thing he says, I'm here to take you away. My name is Jesus. Let's get out of here. Okay? Now when that happens, that's when the great apostasy is occurring, right? And that's the blasphemy that comes out of their mouth, and this is this beast that's used to set it up. Because these beasts are nations. That 7 heads, that's 7 nations. All right? They have horns, they have power, they have crowns. 10 crowns, right? 10 rulers. All right? Verse 2. And the beast which I saw was now, okay. Now we're going to switch not really switch gears, but I want you to understand when he's writing. He's writing a couple thousand years ago, right? All right. Now he's going to describe some animals and what you get, and he's referring to this beast that we're talking about, but it's not their physical characteristics. It's just kind of the spiritual ones, okay? And we'll just kind of talk about it as we go. The beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. All right. When you talk about a leopard, you're talking about a pound for pound, probably one of the most powerful animals on the planet. All right. When I say that, I used to work with them when I was young in a zoo. A leopard is so stinking fast. When you say quick, instant doesn't even describe how fast they really are. I've seen them run around a ground cage that was probably 25 by 20, hit all 4 walls and never touch the ground, make 3 or 4 laps. It was unbelievable. But a leopard, mostly the common thing that's said about a leopard is the leopard spots never change, and that's exactly what you want to think about this leopard. It's the same spot, all right? Listen to this. And his feet were as the feet of a bear, all right? And these bears, remember the kind of bears that were in North America when this country was first being founded. These bears were so big that they could crush a buffalo skull with one smack. I mean, that is a powerful animal, all right? That's what he wants you to get out this. It's leopard, it's spots, it doesn't change, it's strong, it's powerful. You can't stand against it, right? And his mouth was like the mouth of a lion. And this gives you a little bit of information about who he is, too, because one of Christ's titles is the Lion of the tribe of Judah, right? All right, and what's he saying? He shows up, he's saying, I'm Jesus, I'm here for you, all right? If you know anybody that don't think I'm Jesus, you just send them my way and I'll convince them. And that's when the brother will betray sister, mother, father, and so on and so forth, like we talked about before. And the dragon gave him, which dragon? The dragon was who? Lucifer. The dragon gave his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. Okay? And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. All right, let's break this down. All right. Okay, 7 heads, right? Each head is a nation. So if you have a group of 7 nations trying to bring peace to the earth, okay, and one of them pulls out and it ruins the peace pact, all right, that's when the Antichrist appears and heals the deadly wound. Because people are looking for this weirdo, somebody to get shot in the head, and for the Antichrist then to show up. But it's not that. That's not what it is. The head that's wounded is a political head. It's one of the nations of the 7 that formed the beast. Okay? And that's what receives the deadly wound. And not the head of a human or a head of even an inhuman. Verse 4. And because of this, they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. The beast is a political system. The dragon is Lucifer. All right? And then what they say? And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Remember that those animals that they just described? Who is able to make war with him? Verse 5, and there was given to him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. 40 and 2 months, it's our 3.5 years, right? Which we know is reduced to a 5-month period because of chapter 9. Right. Verse 6. And he opened his mouth in blasphemies against God to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwelt in heaven. What's he saying? I'm God among you. I'm back again. All right. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, or those of the saints means those who are set aside, and to overcome them. All right. Remember when I said father will betray son? That's how he overcomes them. And power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. Who's the him? Antichrist, the dragon, the devil himself. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names were not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Now everybody wants to say there's more names than just that are actually in the Lamb's book of life. But this is a specific book, all right? This foundation is Ketabol, all right? It's not Themaleos, it's not Yosed from the Hebrew side of things. It's katabo, and it has nothing to do with a foundation that goes in the ground. It has everything to do with the casting down of the world that happened in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. Okay? It has nothing to do with Noah's day. All right? There were those names that were chosen from them, from the great katabo. Remember when Lucifer's tail drew a third of the stars? That's what it's talking about from that time. All right? And if your name is written in that book, whoo, then you're one of those that will be delivered up before the Antichrist. And if any man hath an ear, let him hear. And he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Okay, listen, what does that really mean? Is that look around the world, you got people all the time paying big prices for being a Christian. You look in the Middle East, any kind of Christian community, almost all of the countries there have small minority Christian minorities. And buddy, they pay a price, sometimes with their own life. All right. That's exactly what it's talking about. Those that would be martyred would be martyred. And those that kill with the sword must be killed with the sword. Look at what's going on with Israel right now. I mean, lost, 1,700 of theirs, something like that? I don't know how many untold Palestinians are now dead because of it. All these things were ordained and in their proper place. Now, listen, that's one beast that we've taken care of. That's one of the two big beasts of the book of Revelation. All right? Now, this next beast you see is a beast that forms one individual. It's formed of one individual. It's not like a multi-headed one. All right? And it's the Antichrist himself. Now, listen to what it says about him. Listen to verse 11 of chapter 13. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, having two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Same dragon that we were talking about in chapter 12. All right? Same dragon that we were talking about earlier in chapter 13. All right? What's it say about him when he speaks? He sounds like a dragon. Why? So when he appears, he looks like a lamb. He even has two horns. Looks a lot like Jesus, doesn't it? But when he opens his mouth, what comes out of his mouth are those blasphemies at those heads that they were talking about with those heads. All right? Blaspheming in the name of God himself. What's the primary commandment? The first thing it says out of 10, just go with the 10 commandments. The first thing is have no other gods before me. All right? But when the Antichrist appears, most people are not prepared to see any kind of a supernatural creature, much less somebody who doesn't even believe they exist. All right, so they won't have much of it. You think about just the human psyche. How many times you hear in a year of people being crushed to death at soccer games because of a mob mentality? You know, how many times you hear about people trampled to death in concerts and things like this? All right? And people being stupid and getting, and that's just over a rock star. You get over a soccer game, the people push and kill each other over it, all right? So he won't have any problem fooling most of the world, all right? And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast. Which one was that? That was the one that had the political beast, the one that's controlling the world, is the one world system, all right? And he causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. When a political system, when one pulls away, the Antichrist appears and brings him back into the fold of seven, and they go ahead and continue the peace pact, the worldwide peace pact. All right? It's really pretty simple when you follow the symbols. And he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth and the sight of men. Snap his fingers, lightning comes down. That's what fire is in Greek. All right? And he deceived them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image of the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. Verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. If he could do it. But remember, he's told in chapter 9 that he can't touch anybody who's sealed, and he can only hurt those that don't have the seals of God in their head. All right. So he doesn't have the authority to kill anybody, and that's what messes him up. That's what brings on the very end is when he kills the two witnesses, which we talked about last time. All right. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. Now, most of the world's primed, waiting for somebody with some weird tattoo or worried about some microchip that they're going to make you take. All right? Even like the COVID vaccination. Think about one of the biggest rumors that went around about COVID vaccination was that they're putting a microchip in it to control your mind. All right? But those have nothing to do with what the mark of the beast is. You got to get back into the Old Testament, back in Exodus, back in Deuteronomy to understand what that mark is. They would know by going back in then that you were supposed to take God's word, put it between the frontlets of your eyes so that it marks your hand with the labor that you do. It's really an Old Testament thing, but because we don't teach the Old Testament, instead, what do we teach? We teach about microchips and tattoos when it comes to the mark of the beast. Which you're going to wait around a long time before a microchip or a tattoo makes you anything. You could tattoo me from top to bottom with 666 and it wouldn't change my mind one little bit about how I feel about God. All right? And those tattoos wouldn't get me sent to hell because it doesn't change anything that makes me. All right? You get my point? It doesn't change who it is. All it means is somebody abused me when I slept. Most likely. All right? But nonetheless. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that hath the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. All right? So really what that's saying is to eat, to be able to go to Walmart and pay for your food, you just have to swear allegiance to both the beast and the beast system. Okay? It's really simple. It's a one world political system with the Antichrist, the fake Messiah at the head. Listen to what it says. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. All right? For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. All right? 666. 666 is the number of the beast. That was the Iron Maiden song back when I was a kid, way back in the day. All right? But unfortunately, when it comes to 666, that's what most people my age, that's the only thing they know about it. Is that, wasn't that an Iron Maiden song back in the day? All right? Because most of it is because it's pitched as 666. All right? But in the reality, what we're talking about, you're told to count. All right? We've been studying the book of Revelation. It's made up of seals, trumpets, and vials. There's 7 of them. All right? And you're simply told to count them. That's what you're counting in the book of Revelation. There's those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 seals, 6 vials, and 6 trumpets that are fulfilled. 666 before the 7s are fulfilled. 777. All right? Has nothing to do with the tattoo in your forehead. It's marking your mind so that you understand that before Christ returns, all 6 of the seals, all 6 of the vials, and all 6 of the trumpets come to pass.
But they're not put in the...
No, it has nothing. That is not the Bible. That what you're talking about is 666,
Yeah.
and people all my life, like you, I've heard that.
They will put in
That,
there.
that they won't put in your hand and here in your hand, right?
And then you put...
Right. Well, that's not what that's about. All right. You could, like I said, you could tattoo me 666 in my forehead. That doesn't change how I feel about God. Not one bit. You could put it in my hand, tattoo it in my hand. Doesn't change how I feel. Okay? It doesn't change who I am. All right. But if you're taking it to 6s instead of the 7s, all right, you can bet God's going to feel a little bit different about you, because if you believe the 6s are the Messiah, all right, then you end up worshiping the Antichrist. All right, you got to wait. What's it say? Blessed is he who's found waiting and wanting, right? Yeah, right. Why? Because the 6s all occur before the 7s come to pass. So all 6 vials, all 6 trumpets, and all 6 vials, trumpets, seals. I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, the things that are in the book of Revelation. All right. Like I said, there's 7 of them. All of the 6s are taken care of, all before the 7s come to pass. All right. If you're taken by the 6s, that means you are participating in what is called the great apostasy. And that great falling away that's prophesied will happen just before the second advent because it happens. Okay, and that finishes up chapters 12 and 13. All right, anybody got any questions? Nope, you guys look tired. Yeah. All right, well, you guys have a good night then online. I'll try and turn this thing off.
That's good.